Good morning and happy Daytona Sunday for my fellow NASCAR fans. I am welcome to Unique Peace. I am Janice. I am a Reiki Master Teacher and medium here on Long Island. And today I am going to be joined by a fellow student of Pat Longo and Kim Russo, Miss Angela Golodowski. She is a medium, psychic medium, and integrative nutritionist here on the island. And I'm looking forward to discovering what brings her peace. And join me in joining Angela.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
So, we both share a couple of teachers, but your journey started out in nutrition. So kind of walk us through how you got there and then what the next steps were from that point.
So I was always interested in nutrition and health, but kind of didn't really get there completely until about 2016 when I don't even know how it happened, but somehow I wound up in, you know how that happens. It just, how did that just happen? You know that it's meant to be. But I wound up taking classes with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I'm telling you, I mean, at the time they weren't doing in person. They had just started doing. They were based in New York, and I'm in New York. But they just started doing online classes, and it was just wonderful. I mean, you know, I didn't realize until later on how much, how similar it was to our. How similar it was to our. Spirituality. And it's funny because, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm telling you, this thing is the best thing ever. And if you actually use it, it's this circle of life wheel from Integrative the Integrative
Nutrition Institute.
And, on it has, all the things that, in life, like joys, relationships, home environment, spirituality, health. And you kind of like, when we started off, we kind of like, put a little dot as to, and as it went out, that would mean you have more of that and not as much as you go in. So I did that. And it's funny because my spirituality at the time was really low. Like, I just didn't understand, I knew there was a connection that I was missing. And until I came to my spirituality, that's when I realized, and it was an amazing experience too. But as looking back at that and now doing it, it's so different,
Yeah.
And really it's all about balance. That's what they teach there. And really balance is important in life in general. If we don't have balance in all different things, and, then we're kind of like we're not working at our highest potential, and living in the flow, because it's so important to live in the flow and, understands where we need to kind of focus our attention a little more. And maybe there's maybe you want to work on relationships, or your food, eating a little healthier. All that makes a difference. And really food is so important. I mean, I did a little at our gatherings. I also do it's a Facebook page for people that would like to send light out, and we kind of do a little thing at the beginning to balance ourselves and speak about health, and it's all different subjects, and it's great, and it's really helped me grow, and I hope that it's helped other people too. But we spoke about foods and how each food, like a walnut shaped like our brain.
Yes, it coincides with the organ or that part of the body to help. Yes.
Exactly. And there's nutrients in that, in that particular thing. Like a walnut has omega-3 fatty acids, and it's important for brain health. So celery is, looks like kind of like the bones, and it's a great source of silicon, which is a part of the molecular structure that gives bones their strength. So it's, you can go on and on and on with it. And again, it extends from Mother Earth, and Mother Earth, provides for us. And when we eat, not that I'm perfect, believe me. Trust me, I get reminded many times. My body will remind me to eat a little healthier. But on the whole, I try to eat, and balanced meals, and try to eat healthy. But yeah, there's always stuff. I mean, you have to live, right?
It's always tough. And as we continue, I want to thank Grace Grella and Regina Javit for joining us. Grace is watching on Facebook and YouTube, and she has liked and shared. Thank you, Grace. And Regina, whom I love dearly, she is on chemo, so she now is going through that process where she's got to regenerate, and so she's sharing how important celery juice is. Thank you,
Oh yeah,
Regina.
celery juice, definitely. Yeah, and being being in that class, and learning about that, and how important it is for our health, and her going through chemo, it's really really important to add those things to what you're doing already. So if you eat clean, I'm getting chills all over my body right now, like literally chills all over my body, because it's so important for you to, or people in general, when you're not feeling well, to add these things that Mother Earth is giving us. And I should have mentioned, and I didn't mention actually, that at the time that and the reason why it was so powerful for me to be in this class was at the time that I took this course, I was actually suffering from, I didn't know what it was for 4 years. I was very ill, and I found out that I actually had Lyme disease. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and
Wow.
let me tell you, it has changed my life, really. I don't look at it as something negative. It actually changed my life and brought me to this, and brought me to, really following this, following my health, and knowing that I need to add certain things, make sure I sleep, make sure, I keep my stress level down. So meditation, or whatever makes you happy. So all these things are a big factor in your health. And especially,
Absolutely.
yeah, and especially for her, I mean, adding that to what she's doing now is going to be extremely powerful. Yeah, you can only do your best, but making those little changes, Regina, is going to really, really impact your life in a wonderful way. And you'll see, I really, really, I literally feel like, here it kicks in, with the spirituality and I just feel like, I wish you all the best too, Regina. I really, really feel that's going to help you. And I feel like you're on a path of, discovery. I really do. And I kind of can relate to that in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all have, like, being a fellow student in Pat's class, whenever Pat was sick, she knew it was because she did too much. I mean, I actually sound stuffy and horrible right now because I'm battling a sinus infection. And it's like, okay, what did I do to get knocked on my butt? What do I have to do? So it's like, you got to take care of you. And sometimes we do too much, like you were getting at. And
Oh
so
yeah,
it's a chance to take and step back. And Regina says, thank you for
you're
that means
so
a lot
welcome.
to her. And kind of figure out, I was like, okay, where was I doing too much? What led to this? And you were sick for 4 years, and you're like, something's got to change. So you took that route, and now you're in a much healthier environment for yourself through your food and through learning about integrating, as you said, the balance wheel, which when you were looking at your balance wheel during your class, you discovered your spirituality was kind of low, or was very low, which I'm sure kind of led you on the path to Pat.
Oh
So
yeah.
what was that next step? You take your classes in 2016, and oh, thank you, Grace. Grace says this show is food for the soul. Thank you,
I
Grace.
totally agree. And Grace, I saw you on, and you're amazing too. So I really, really feel this is a really important platform. And I think that you're doing a great thing, Janice, because yeah, a lot of people suffering the same. Yeah. Um, like obviously you want to like clear out your sinuses as best you can. So
Oh
doing,
yeah, there was a couple of days during the week where I couldn't breathe at all, and I was bad, and I had hottie toddies 2 nights in a row just because I needed to breathe. I
Yeah,
was
and
like,
peppermint oil. Do
I
you
don't
smoke
drink during
oil?
the week, but I need this.
Yeah, you do. You definitely do. You sometimes you just got to do you know it works for you, and go for it. Peppermint oil is extremely helpful. Just putting it on all your the certain spots on. I had to chime in and say hello. Oh, Michael's in. He's great.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's
He
so
is
sweet.
he's always been my one of my biggest cheerleaders. So he's
And you
always
know what? He's right. It's so powerful when you gather the energy. And I've learned that. I mean, we all learned it. Obviously, if we're in the spiritual community, you learn how powerful that is. But yeah, it's so as far as Pat, how I got to Pat was, and it's really interesting. I went to Pat does psychic fairs
yeah,
a couple of times a year, and I had been to one in the spring that year. It was 2019, and we went. My friend had brought me. I didn't even know Pat until my friend kind of was talking about her and her fair. And then we went in October, and I was online, thinking, okay, who am I going to see? Because there's like so much. Her fairs are great.
yeah. It's always top notch healers, top notch psychics. Usually, people who are really on point.
Oh yeah, I mean, and there's so much. And she had just actually her book had just come out. That she and it was
The
like,
gift beneath your anxiety.
oh yeah, and it's funny because yeah, so that book really helped me at the time too. But I was online, and I'm obviously I'm so I know about chakras, and I know that you can balance them. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a healing, and I'll get my chakras balanced. Thinking, all right, and it turned out that when I had the healing, and it was amazing. I literally, it was like nothing I have ever experienced before. And when I got up to the table, the person that did the healing, explained that I was an empath, and that because I literally started crying. I didn't know what I was feeling. It was like I was tampering down things for years because I've had experiences since I'm little, but it was
So yeah,
yeah, you know.
I do. Would
Yeah, and when you tamper that down, you kind of keeping it in, you're keeping it in your body, you keep holding it, and then when you let go, it's like a big whoosh. It's like you're overwhelmed, and I was crying, and I was shaking. I couldn't even stop shaking for like hours after, and it turned out that he explained. Actually, the next day I went calling him because I was totally like not. I didn't know what was going on, and he said connect, try to connect, and I connected that night, and it was since then it's just been a ride, a beautiful ride, and Pat. So I went to Pat's classes, and she just the things that I've experienced have been so amazing, and so it's like I came home. I understood. I connected with Jesus, and I'm not. I would say I'm spiritual, but I can never that connection that I was looking for. Just it came all together,
yeah.
and I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. Do readings or whatever it is that I'm doing. That I'm supposed to do. I just follow.
Yeah, it's the courage to do what we know we're supposed to do,
Yeah.
given the current state of the world. And that's, there's a lot of us that are still kind of like cautious and moving forward, but it's those cautious ones that will really help people in the long run. It's like I used to hide as well. It's not so much I would hide as I did not make it known to many people.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a firm believer in those who need me will find me.
I totally agree, and that's one of the things that I say every day is whoever needs it, it will they'll appear, and whatever I need too, because
Mhm.
the teachers like they say, what is it that's saying
I never
the
usually never
strategy,
in the morning. Yeah, when the student is ready, the
the
teacher will
teacher will
appear.
appear, and it's so true. It really really like just like with IIN, and I mean that was such an experience for me and a basis for a lot of things in my life. Um, and I really found it really interesting, and especially now, yeah. She's great.
She's great.
But I really found I've lost my train of thought for a moment. I'm sorry. Oh, that's what I was going to say. As I'm going along, and I've seen that as I'm kind of coming out with what I'm doing with the spirituality and doing readings, and reading my friends who, like, I never thought, like, I was so shocked that everybody was just like, oh, okay, you do that, and I'm like, and not like, what are you doing?
Apparently.
Yeah, and when I'm doing readings, I really find that so many people have experiences and they don't talk about it, and a
No,
lot of them have this ability. I mean, everybody has the ability, obviously, we know that, but there are people that are more connected to it, and so many people, it's just amazing, and I really think it's happening because it's what we need right now in the world. We need more people that are that
thank
are
you.
oh, that's so sweet. We need more people that are connected to, to their spirituality and to all of this, because it's so important to put that out in the world. And the more people that are aware of it, the more that it's going to, grow, and we pass it on to other people that way.
We do. We do. So as you went from INN to Pat, and we just discovered we both we're taught under Kim Russo, whom I love dearly. And
She's
you're on, she is. You're continuing on your journey. How has that helped you in the way you find peace? How do you define peace personally?
So I would say that the thing that, I mean, there's so many things that bring me peace, but the thing that brought me peace was connecting to my spirituality and to my faith. I mean, spirit, it's love is everything. And when we connect to love, we connect to faith and hope, and peace. And it's just healed me so much. And, obviously there's work that we have to do on, and another teacher of mine, Michelle Astrom, has been, and again, she's part of Pat. So it's all like stems from Pat, all these people, which is amazing. And she has really, her teachings always kind of, because it's the Course in Miracles that she teaches. And the Course in Miracles is, if people aren't familiar with it, it's written by, I believe, two psychologists. So they weren't even religious at all, but one channels and the other one wrote. Have you ever done the Course in Miracles?
I've done the Course of Miracles, and I found out when I found out the background is one of them is Jewish, but was not connected to her Jewish faith. She was very disconnected from that, and so she went through some trying times, and so she decided to go back and see if she could connect in another way. And so the Course of Miracles is 365 days of focusing on one thing at a time.
Right. And I mean, and it can be difficult to understand, but Michelle kind of breaks it down for us, and it really has changed my life in so many ways, because it's a basics for life, really, and understanding that. Oh, thank you, Regina. It's understanding that, one of the things is taking responsibility for your own things. I mean, I always blame my dad, and my dad wasn't easy as I was growing up. Blamed my dad. I didn't do it because of him, and this and that. And you know what? Yes, it doesn't mean that he wasn't who he was, but it also means that I need to take responsibility for what I did. I could have, he didn't want me to do certain things, and I could have done them later on, and when I did have control. So, and even just having a different way of looking at things that has changed my life, really. And I see that my relationships, not that it was ever horrible, but I see that even that is, different in a good way. I'm not as quick to get upset or angry, or because I had a lot of anger when I was younger. Not that I treated people meanly or anything, but it was inside of me, and I released that. So healing is so important. And that's one of the things that this has brought me, going to Pat's classes, going to, Kim's classes, Michelle, Dawn Marie Delahunt. She's amazing. Her classes, that's another story, but, I wasn't planning on ever doing angel cards. It just wasn't something that was in my focus, but yet somehow I was led to it because she did a contest, and because she had written a chapter in this book, which was wonderful. And so anybody that purchased a book, which I was purchasing anyway, she put in a pool, and I won either a free reading or a half off a class. And I'm like, well, I'll just do a free reading. And every time we tried to connect, it just did not work.
It didn't work because it
It
wasn't
didn't
supposed to.
work.
We know.
And there was a reason. And she's like, finally, she's like, I think you need to take a class. And I'm like, I think you're right. And the only class that was available that would work for me was the angel card class. And that, because she's amazing with her classes. She's very, very thorough. She's very available, and she gives you homework. And I had to read people, and I never would have done it if I didn't have this class. And I read, I wound up reading people starting with cards, and kind of like it flowed from there. And now I'm actually doing readings, and I have time, whether I use cards or not. It's just pretty amazing. And I knew, you just know when you're in the flow and you're being led, and I just let go. And that's really, I think, the biggest thing that we have to understand with anything is just to let go and let God or spirit or whatever you want to call it, let them lead you, because they will.
They absolutely will. So, again, going back to personally defining peace for yourself, what is your current personal definition of peace? And how does it help you find peace?
I would say that my connection to my soul, because really I've connected, that connection has opened up with spirituality, and that has brought me so much peace in every way. And it really starts from there and stems out to every facet of my life. I mean, just just the word, and it just, peace is so important in your life. A lot of people don't have that, and to understand and to utilize that in your life. I don't really know. I'm not really sure what I mean by that, but for some reason, I feel like, like I said, okay, so I would say that trusting and having faith brings me peace. An example could be last year, my husband's truck finally paid it off. Like had a year of no payments, and his truck, apparently with this truck, the engine just goes. So his truck was in act.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm glad that you resonate with that, Michael. But his truck, you know, apparently the engine goes, and we like, oh my gosh, now we have to find another car, and now another payment. Like you kind of like think of all that. And normally I would have freaked out, and I would have been like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But instead, I said, you know what, honey? I'm like, it's going to be fine. I don't know how it's going to be fine, but it's going to be fine.
Just
We'll
like
find
you said.
something. It's going to be fine. And he wound up fine. And it doesn't mean that, you're not going to look, or, it just means you're not going to sit back and be like, oh, the truck's going to come to me. Or sometimes it does happen, but
But
yeah,
caveat.
it can happen, but you do have to take action. And he was looking, and he found this truck, and it was a 2017. It was old. It was newer than his. This was 2013. And you know what? It worked out. And he has his truck. I mean, it's not a brand new one. And eventually he will get a brand new one, maybe. But it worked out. And those are things that I've learned. Like, where is it getting me to be upset? Where does it get me? Nowhere. You can't think straight. It doesn't mean that I don't still get upset. Trust me. It happens, but exactly. We know, right? It doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that nothing's ever going to happen, but you understand it a little more, and you can calm down a little faster, maybe in that situation, and know where it's coming from. Really kind of see clearly, like, where this is coming from. Exactly. The universe does always provide what you need. And I'm really learning that. And, I think my husband was surprised when I was so calm, because, like I said, normally that wouldn't be the first thing that I go to. And when you kind of see these miracles happen, you just trust even more, and you just know, right? I mean,
You just know.
it's amazing and beautiful.
And so, what do you do to find peace? Like, that moment in life was very stressful. could have gotten, like you said, you could have just reacted versus respond. You could have said, "What the heck?" And a whole bunch of exculpate after it. How did you find peace? How did you keep calm?
I mean, meditation is so big for me. I was always an anxious person, and really, meditation brings me to that place where I can take a breath and I can, you know, bring in that peace, or bring out that peace, I should say, because it's in you. It just has to come out. And meditation, and really, like I said, kind of like thinking differently. Like, where is it getting me? Where is it getting me to get like that? Nowhere. Because guess what? The situation is still there. It didn't go anywhere, and I can't think straight if I'm anxious and freaking out. So I said to him, like, this is what this is not getting me anywhere, so I'm not going to stress about it. And it's so true. And when you kind of like start living in that space, it just flows and kind of goes more naturally.
Yeah.
Like I said, it'll happen, but you kind of get back into the peace a little bit easier and a little
Beautiful.
quicker.
And a little quicker. And just to go back to your class and moments with Angel Eyes Don Marie, Grace and Michael and I are familiar with Brian Lar. Michael and Brian do a show called, they're on the Angel channel every Monday at 9
Oh,
p.m. And he has an angel deck. So Grace is mentioning you might want to
I'm going to
check
write that down. Thank you. Thank you, Grace. See, there's always something you learn, right?
Yes. And so, as you've discovered, meditation helps bring you center and brings you peace and keeps you calm. How do you bring others peace? How do you think you bring others peace?
I feel like for me, and I've been like this since I'm little. I mean, like I literally was my mom at 5. She told me where babies came from, and I had to tell everybody because I just, I'm like I love learning and I love passing that on. So, hope I my intention is always to pass on that information to whatever I learn to people, and by doing the speaking to my friends or doing the spiritual gathering for light, which is that Facebook group that I was speaking about. And I'm actually working on my spiritual, and I guess you would call it a business, to Unhindered Soul, which is the intention is eventually to actually create content in not just the spiritual but the health field, and put that out to people, because I feel like it's so important to educate other people. And I would say that what I learn, and I've learned since my health coaching days, because I was so gung-ho on helping people, and I didn't realize that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. That's one of my favorite sayings, and it really impacted me in a big way when I kind of really, it sunk in that it's not my job to change somebody else. It's just my job to live my life, put that information out, and whatever works, whatever resonates with them is what they're going to take.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful and wonderful, and that's my intention. So if I put this information out, just like you're doing with Unique Peace, I mean, it's so important to do these interviews and really like understand what works for what brought everybody peace. Different people like Grace and all the people you've had on. So important, because you never know what's going to impact someone. It can be something really tiny to you, and I'm getting chills all over my body again. But it could be something that leads somebody on a path of discovery and to their own beautiful, um, you know, connection to to spirit or their soul, whatever you want to call it. And that's really what my intention is.
So, just a quick shout out to Angela. Regina says she was glad that I shared that information about the Angel channel. But also, I truly believe that coming into your own and sharing it with others, you're just sharing the information and let them come to you. And I can appreciate that, bringing people peace.
Yeah. Yeah. It took a while for me to learn that, though. I would get so frustrated, like, why aren't they just need to do this and then they'll feel better. And I'm like, but it's not my job. It's not. It's we're each responsible for ourselves, and I've learned that. And when we're ready, at our own pace, and when we're ready to open up, and you know, that's what's beautiful about this. This whole spirituality and having faith, and that you're going to be led when you get to that point where that you're going to be led to where you need to be for your highest good, and you just let go. It's just a beautiful ride. And it's not perfect, and it's not always easy, and that. I mean, doing shadow work, you're taking a really good look at yourself and
Yeah.
understanding
Hmm.
what your part in of things is. I mean, we always want to blame somebody else. Oh, they were so mean and they yelled at me. But you know what? Take a moment and really understand, like, why is it showing up for me? Where is it coming from?
And you bring up shadow work, which is very important to
Yeah,
finding peace. And I say that because we are not perfect. We all can have a traumatic past, and some of us have it worse than others, and some of us are, never learn how to navigate and are constantly in that victim frame of mind.
exactly.
And when you do the work, when you really do the work, and I am a Karuna master teacher, and that is not something to do lightly, because you've got to be able to look in the mirror and see the not so nice sides of yourself. I
Right,
was like, oh crap, I did that to somebody. Oh crap, I did that to myself. And you're justifying it because of what was done to you. Now, I still go in there, and there's moments of victimhood and everything, but having taken that whole course and taken and done the shadow work, I'm not quick to play the victim anymore. I'm
yes.
not quick to say it's somebody else's fault all the time. I
Mm,
will take a look at myself first, and then see and respond to the situation as a whole. Is it a me problem and I have to address it? Or is it, okay, I have to address the other person involved?
right, right, exactly. um you know Forgiving too is so important. I mean, forgiving yourself, forgiving the person, so important, because it's not just for the other person, it's for you. I mean, if you are holding that in, and that resentment, and all of that, like you said, it's going to keep you in that victimhood, and just it festers. We know
Hmm.
that. And you know the biggest thing that one of the other things that IAN is taught is, and again, it's in spirituality, and we know that when you have trauma, and we hold it in spots that are maybe our weakest, or
Hmm.
that's when dis-ease appears.
Comes into
And
play.
doing the spiritual work, doing the healing, and the shadow work is so important, because you let go of those. And there's so much, and it's not always easy to do on your own. There's so many different facets to spiritual work, and different people that do different things. So it's always good to get somebody that does. There are people that do just that. Or just taking a class, and I just think it's so important to address that, because we don't realize. I mean, for me, it was always my stomach. Always my
Right.
stomach and my shoulders, and I'm working on that still. But yeah, I made friends with the monsters on my bed. That is so true, Grace. So I think everybody has different levels of healing to do. I remember watching. I think it was on the news, and it's definitely at least 5 years ago. I don't even know how long, but it was that whole thing with somebody was held captive for like 10 years, and they were speaking about trauma.
Yeah.
And she literally, it impacted me in such a big way. She was speaking about trauma, and how all trauma is the same. It's just because she had that doesn't mean your trauma is any less. It could be trauma of being teased in school or whatever it is. But she was saying that it was actually equal to, because everybody's different, and that trauma to you is big. Just because her
Exactly.
trauma seemed so much more, it doesn't mean that it was any different. And so, yeah, it's really important to heal, and there's always more, and things come up, and maybe you think you healed something and then it comes up again, but you know what, it's a piece out of that you've healed. So you take
Right.
little chunks at a time, because doing it all at once is just too much for people. It's a lot.
It absolutely is, and I'm glad you said it's, sometimes it comes back, and you think you think you healed it, and it came back, and it's like, okay, that's the opportunity to look a little deeper, and also, why did it come back?
Right. Right.
Why? What triggered this?
Yeah.
Because again, with the disease, I totally get that. It's like, okay, it goes to the weakest spots in the body. For me, I guess it would be I've had ulcers since I was 17,
Mm.
gotten migraines since I was 17. And like when they become recurrent again, it's kind of like, okay, I take a step back and take a look at what's going on. What's the stress? What changed? How did it change? And when did it change? And what am I doing or not doing?
Right. Right.
And it's finding that peace. And like, okay, I've got to address this. And then it's a matter of, how do I address this? And is it me, or not me or them, but is it me, or is it something I need to address with someone else to help us both feel better? Now, granted, I'm not saying that other person is going to feel better because you're addressing something that they may not want to address.
Right.
They may not want to look at, or that's not true, or this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, I've had a Lemony Snicket's adventure with bosses recently. And it's like, okay, well, what am I doing? And kind of learned that maybe I'm not cut out for a regular 9 to 5, but I don't know what to do yet. So it's like, okay, navigating this. But I've noticed that my migraines are coming back.
Ah.
So it's one of those where it's like, it has to be addressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has to be addressed. And in this case, I feel I can address it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then also do it in a way that is both peaceful for me and the other individual.
Yeah, and your reaction to your reaction changes things too. So maybe by you reacting to them differently, and maybe like taking a second to really think about um, you know, what you want to get across instead of anger, right? Because anger is so easy to come to. But it changes their reaction too, and maybe they'll listen a little differently, or maybe it will change them. You just don't know, but it's not your responsibility to change them. It's really just doing what you feel is right, and then what getting the situation, looking at the situation, seeing it clearly, and then working from there.
Yes. And I want to thank Grace for her kind words. She says, Janice, you are a brilliant healer. Thank you, Grace. Thank you very much.
You really are in every way. I saw you doing your Reiki at the that was a wonderful event. The Mondays at Racine and the beauty ball. I mean, I was so grateful to be a part of that, and to actually see you
Yes.
there was wonderful, and all the other ladies. It was
Yes.
great.
And yeah, and to be part of that that is truly a
Honor.
blessing. Yeah. I'm sure everybody knows somebody or has been directly in contact with losing somebody. I lost my dad at a very young age to cancer. I lost my stepdad's sister, my aunt. She was one of my favorite aunts. We lost her to breast cancer. One of my best friends is in remission. Marion is in remission. And then, Regina, our beautiful listener here, she's going through it. So anyone who's not familiar with Mondays at Racine, and you're on Long Island, I would reach out to them. They help individuals with going through treatment, receive self-care services for free: haircut, facial, massage, Reiki, all of those things. They coordinate it to where you get those services for free.
It's beautiful.
And it's a wonderful organization. I highly I recommend it. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
I do. I just, like I said, I'm just so grateful. And that's another thing, bringing me to these kind of like spirituality has brought me to these kind of things that I have something that I can actually help with, and just so grateful for it. Really, I met such amazing people, and to be a part of that really is so gratifying for me, because I'm feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm able to do what I'm supposed to do, and that's just everything.
And that's another way you bring people peace.
Yeah, that's another
Is
way. Exactly.
doing what you're supposed to do.
Doing what you're supposed to do, following what you're supposed to follow. Um and I think that, again, learning in IIM, I mean, and it extends to this, is you don't realize how you change people around you with your energy. When I'm, eating healthy, and my whole family, like, I remember, I'm also gluten free and dairy free because I have to be dairy free, and gluten free was very helpful to me. But interesting that, when I first started, my son used to want to eat all my stuff, and I'm like, well, at first I wasn't gluten free, I was just dairy free, but I'm like, what is going on? You like want to eat all my stuff, it was great. Like, I would buy stuff, and whatever it was, something healthier, you want to try to eat as healthy as you can. And they see that. So people around you see what you're doing, and you don't even have to do anything other than just live your life. And your friends and your family and people that you come in contact with, see that, and it kind of makes them stop to think, or maybe whatever resonates with them they take, and it changes everyone. And again, like, it's passing on the light, and not even, you're not doing it in any intentional way other than being intentional of what you're doing. And it's so important, and beautiful how it works.
Yes, absolutely agreed. And one of my favorite questions to ask is, what's in your toolbox? So you could, well, let's go back to the truck, since you brought up the truck. And if you had your daughter or son was in that situation and they were freaking out, and it's like, what am I going to do, mom? How am I going to get to work? How am I going to get to school? And especially as girls, as teenagers, we have, not saying boys don't have extra hormones, because they do, but girls, we tend to be more emotional.
Yeah.
Um, so, so let's be honest. Uh, how would you help her to just calm down, take a minute, and what's in your toolbox that you would pull out?
So actually, I've had, last a couple of years ago, my daughter actually did have a very difficult health issue, and
Mm,
so what I did was, with her, is that I would say, take a second, stop, think, know that, right away she was going into fear mode, and it's so easy to go into fear mode, right? I mean, we all do it,
absolutely.
and you have to. I kind of, actually, what I did was I text her, because I knew that when I was speaking to her, she would just say no, 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 no. So I text her actually an experience with me, like what I had when I had Lyme disease, and uh, it was so easy, like you said, to kind of like be a victim. And there's so many, I feel like there's always an explanation for everything, and that's my own personal belief. There's always an explanation for everything. There's always something that's going to help you. And I was in that mode, and for a bit, I mean, I could barely walk. It was scary. I didn't know what was going to happen. And yet I had to work every day in a doctor's office with three doctors. I was at the front desk, constantly, busy, and I felt like I was going to pass out. And I kind of just said, like, no, like, find your power, know that everything's going to be all right, and no matter what. And that when you put yourself, because your mind is so powerful, and when you put yourself out of that, and also visualization, knowing that you're going to be better, you're going to get better, and you will, because let me tell you, it really works. um,
Yes.
the mind is so, and I'm sure everybody's, so many people have been through so many things, and whether it's one level or another, it doesn't matter. But really, your mind is so powerful, and I kind of, wrote that to her, of what helped me. I didn't tell her what to do. I just said, this is what helped me. And she literally wrote back, "Thanks, Mom." Like, I want to cry thinking about it, because you could almost hear the gears clicking. And it really helped her. And she got through. She had trigeminal neuralgia from a tooth being pulled, which is like really painful. It's like in your head.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
experienced it, but yeah, I've heard it's painful.
And the kid, I mean, this was a child that couldn't go to. She was in 11th grade and she couldn't go to school for like 3 months.
Oh,
And there
no.
was, she was hope. It was like hope. She felt hopeless. But I said, there's always something. And we went to different things and we found something that worked, which actually was the laser therapy. Calmed everything down, just to let you know. And I feel like I'm supposed to say this for a reason, so you never know who's going to help, right? And it actually wound up that she had an infection in a tooth that she didn't even need her wisdom tooth pulled. It was another tooth that had an infection in it. And it was for 3 months thinking about having an infection in your body and how it.
Oh my goodness, that's and
But
it's
she does
right
have.
in the jaw area,
Oh
which is
yeah,
right near the brain. Okay.
oh yeah, yep, exactly. And I kept telling them, I feel like she hasn't, something like an infection, but they didn't know and they didn't see it. But things happen for a reason. It made her stronger. And right now she still does have some symptoms because it kind of, I guess, damaged some things when she did pull the tooth with an infection. But I think she really understood, like, how do you get through these things? How do you get through like these traumatizing things? Right. That's a great song.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Everything's gonna
Actually,
be
you
all
know
right.
what's funny? The song from oh the Prince of Egypt. That's what I'm getting chills. That's what I text her. I said that song came up in my meditation, and I'm like, Caitlin, this is what you know this song is coming to me. I don't know if you ever heard that song, and it was sung by
I don't
Mariah
know,
Carey.
if I haven't heard it in a while, so it's not coming to the brain right
I
away.
can't remember the
I'll
name of
have to
it,
look it up.
but it was so powerful. And it really just, how songs motivate you and kind of like make you feel. That's another thing we did, how songs can actually, they really resonate with you because they give you that, like Rocky. I mean, come on, you hear Rocky and you're like, and so those
Music
things.
is powerful and healing. It will get you through what you need to get through,
Right. So
period.
everybody's different, like what brings them peace. Like for me, I also, music, walking in nature, my family, doing something nice for somebody that helps them. That brings me peace. When I do a reading, and I mean, there were two readings one reading and one another other thing that I experienced, but this one reading, it just brought me so much peace because I could feel the peace from the person on the other side, and the spirit on the other side, and the person that I was reading. But it was the woman. It was one of my friend's moms. She lost her husband, and she's 92, I believe. At the time, she was 92, and I could feel the love. And I mean, you've done it. You could feel the love, and I was actually there with them, showing, like, they showed me a scene. Yeah, the frequency. That's right. That's another thing we learned in IAN was frequency and how it affects you. But yeah, it's just, when when that you're just a channel. But when you are able to channel and interpret that message for someone, that brings me peace, because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And you could feel the healing, and the love coming through.
Yes, that is for sure. The love is really where the operative takes place. If you move from love, it's all good.
Yeah,
It's
it
all good.
really is. It really is. um I just, like I said, another experience was just, I was in contact with this baby soul that wasn't born. And I don't draw. I don't draw at all. I draw like a kid, like a little kid. I probably kids
Pixie
draw
fairs.
anything. Yeah. I draw like the eye with the eyelashes, like that's how ridiculous I am with that. I mean, I can copy something maybe, but I can't really draw on my own. Maybe one day, you never know, right? I never say never, never say can't, because you never know. And Dawn Marie taught me that.
Yes.
But I so my teacher told me, like, try to draw it, because I kept saying, I see this baby soul, but I wish I could draw it. And I wound up drawing it, and actually the baby is here now, and it looks like the baby, which is pretty amazing coming from, it wasn't me, it was spirit. I swear my pencil was moving, and I did not know, there was no way I could have drawn this at all.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
You discover you have gifts you didn't know you had when you are doing what you're supposed to do.
yeah, exactly. I mean, so that brings me peace, being able to do, things, like knowing that I mean, we know, but when we really get things like that, there's no denying. There's no denying that there is something beside, something that is bringing you to this amazing, and these miracles. I would say these miracles, because that was a miracle for sure. I didn't For me to draw it all. Like I said, it wasn't me. It was being channeled, and it's amazing.
Yay. And I love that you shared these experiences, because that's part of the work that we do, and the work that you do specifically is in bringing people peace, is sharing those gifts with
Yeah,
the world. There's no doubt about it.
I agree. Sharing, and like I said, I could see the difference in the people around me, people that I've known for a million years, and she's, yeah. I mean, thank you. That's so nice of you to say, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I just it's funny, this morning my teacher sent this thing, and it's so true. I wrote it down, and I wanted to share it. It's, life is beautiful and beauty is easy to find. It all depends on your choice and your state of mind. It's
Oh,
so
I
true.
love that. It's very true.
So true. It's your state of mind, and when you're in this state of mind of receiving and giving, and knowing your truth, and having your faith, giving your trust, you know, and letting go of fear, and having that peace, it just brings you to amazing places. And like we always say in spirituality, how you think is what you receive.
Yes.
So if you're thinking negative all the time, negative is going to show up. If you're thinking positive, then it doesn't matter the situation. Yeah, we still had to get a car, and it was a situation, and there's had more payments, but oh well,
That
that's fine. It's what we needed. And when you put love into that situation, and understand that, instead of thinking, oh, why did this happen to me? It happens. It's not happening to you. It's just the way it is, and how you look at it, and how you approach it, and how you're grateful for that car. Because guess what? You couldn't get to work, and you wouldn't have money to pay for food. And you look at it, it's a whole
you
chain
got
of
to look at the positive of it. Got to
right.
focus on the positive. So I want to thank you, Angela, for sharing your story and what brings you peace this morning. I am very grateful, as are my listeners. And as Grace says, oh, Grace went, you are both a blessing to the world.
Thank you, Grace, and so are you. I like I said, I watched you on Janice's segment, and it was just, you're amazing.
And I'm going to put you in the back for a minute, so don't go anywhere. And I want to say thank you to everyone who joined us this morning. And just a quick reminder that on Tuesday, there will be a special Unique Piece episode. I will be talking to Gemma Starr. She is all the way from Australia. She is a poet, and she hosts a show all about love from a man's point of view. So join us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you all, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.